I'm Richard Stopman, fellow woodworker and inventor of the DoveTail TemplateMaster. I'd like to show you how you use my invention to make these very accurate jigs in your own workshop. These jigs are the easiest to use, most versatile, and least expensive dovetail jigs in the world. Before I show you how to make a jig, I want to show you how easy they are to use. You take your board and you find the center of the board, and I supply a nice handy little center finder, and you locate this left or right until you get it. There you go, that's centered. Then you simply make a mark at the center of your board. The second step is very simple. You take the board that you found the center of and you load it into the dovetail jig itself. Now what you do is you take the board that you've centered and you locate it about the center. It doesn't have to be perfect, and what you try to do is get this even on both sides. All right, now that you've got it locked in place, then you just tighten the clamping board. That's the second step. Now the third step is a very simple way of adjusting the depth of cut. You merely take the pin board, take a piece of paper such as a business card, and then place it on top of that. The purpose for the business card is that you want the joint to be such that the wood, after you make the joint together, is slightly proud so that you only have to sand off that little bit of ingrain. What you do now is you put it over here, you attach the two together, and then you adjust the bit until it just kisses the jig, as you see there. We are now ready to make the first cut. Now step 4, which is the real secret for the simplicity of this joint, is you take your pin board, you place perpendicular to it the tail board that you just cut, you align the edges as you see right here, then you merely mark one of the openings. And that's all you need to do. As you can see, we have one marking which we will then use to align the pin gauge. The next step, one of the simple things to do, is you take the board that we just marked with the little triangle and you insert it into the pin jig. Then you adjust it over until you cover up those two lines that you have drawn. Now you have locked it in place. That is all you need to do to adjust the pin jig. Now we're going to cut the pin board, but this time to demonstrate the versatility of the jig, I have mounted the pin jig to a work surface with the two clamps that you see here, and I'm going to use a handheld router instead of a table-mounted router to demonstrate to you that you can use either method with the same ease and the same accuracy. Just like before, we're going to adjust the depth of cut. I take this time and I put the tail board on top of the jig, and then one business card for the thickness. Now I'm going to adjust the cutter till it just touches this surface right here. Then that will give me a cut that is a joint so that the bit or the tail board and the pin board are just one business card proud of the surface, which gives you the minimum amount that you need to sand. The pin jig that I have made right here, I'm using round clamps, a little more finger friendly than the wing nuts were on the dovetail jig. So let me make the first cut. We'll get going. And now the final step, you take the pin board and you just put the joint together. As you can see right now, the tailboard is just slightly proud of the surface, so all you have to do is sand this end grain off and you have a perfect dovetail joint. What I'd like to do now is demonstrate to you how you make one of these easy to use jigs. I've colored the boards to more easily see how the jigs are assembled. The instructions you will receive give you detailed dimensions and the hardware required for each jig. But you take a base board, which is 7 by 6 inches, and you attach to it at a 90-degree a brace board. This brace board and base board are then assembled, glued and screwed to a backer board, which is 3 1/2 inches by 10 inches. And then you take a working template blank, which is 7 inches by 8 inches. Now I'll show you shortly on how to cut out the 2 working templates that you'll need from those blanks. And you need to cut one for the dovetail jig and one for the pin jig. The first thing I do is I take this block of wood, which is 7 inches by 8 inches, and then I'm going to draw a line on it that's 2 inches from the edge. The reason I did that is now I'm going to use this and align it on that edge, just like you see it right there. Now I'm going to drill 2 holes and drive 2 screws and attach it together. All I'm doing is drilling a clearance hole so I can drive my screws. And what I attach this with is 1 screw and 1 washer. Now the whole reason for offsetting it 2 inches is so you have this space here for the router to be able to enter freely before you turn it on, so you don't have a problem. Now we'll clamp it to the bench and make the cuts. You take your router with the same pattern bit that we've used before, and you set it down, and then you adjust the depth of cut so that this bearing rides on the TemplateMaster and that you cut the blank on both sides, I mean all the way through. So let me demonstrate the first cut. Now remember, when you're making the templates, patience is your friend. You want to take your time.